Ferran Torres just became Barcelona's biggest problem.
Barcelona have a massive problem, boys and girls. That problem is Ferran Torres.
And the crazy part is, he did it by scoring the biggest goal of his career. After coming off the bench and scoring the winning goal in the World Cup final, Ferran should have returned to Barcelona as a hero. Instead, he's returned with a completely different problem. He suddenly knows just how valuable he is.
Ferran Torres, he understands exactly what he's got in his hands.
Since that final whistle, Torres has been everywhere. From American morning shows to a baseball stadium in New York, talking about his future, his relationship with Barcelona, and whether the club really makes him feel valued. And some of the things he's said have raised a very uncomfortable question. Has Ferran Torres' World Cup moment changed the way he sees himself?
Yeah, you scored the winning goal in the World Cup and you think your stock is sky high, but he didn't have a great World Cup.
Because with Lewandowski gone and Barcelona still searching for their next number 9,
Barcelona right now, they don't have a striker except for him.
Torres suddenly has leverage he didn't have before. So is Barcelona about to reward a player whose confidence has exploded? Or make the mistake of letting him walk? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how Ferran went from Barcelona's useful squad player to one of the club's biggest headaches. Go back to that World Cup final for a second, because the setup matters here. Torres wasn't a starter for Spain all tournament. He came off the bench match after match, and when he did get his chances in front of goal, he missed them. Not once or twice either. Across 7 matches, he looked like a guy who couldn't hit the target when it counted. Hitting the woodwork, blazing over, the kind of finishing that makes fans nervous every time the ball comes near him.
He probably isn't a great scorer of goals, based on the fact that he missed all of his chances in the previous 7 games.
Then, extra time in the final arrives. He gets his moment, and he buries it.
On the volley, he shoots it low, it's getting deflected. You shoot it where he shot is the only place it's going in.
1 touch, 1 goal. And Spain are world champions. That's the entire story of his tournament in a single sentence. 7 games of frustration, erased by 1 moment of magic.
Torres smashes the ball into the back of the net, and the bad guy, the villain, the one everyone makes fun of online, wins Spain the World Cup.
And here's where it gets strange. Instead of flying back to Barcelona to get ready for preseason, Torres stayed in the spotlight. He showed up on the Today Show. He did an interview with CNN. He threw out the first pitch at a Yankees game in New York. He gave an inspired speech to the Baltimore Ravens, grinning for cameras that have nothing to do with football.
I think he's making the most of his moment. He's never going to get an opportunity like this again, to have this level of public profile, especially in the United States.
This wasn't a quick victory lap either. He delayed his return to the club by more than a week just to keep doing American press. And in nearly every one of these sit-downs, he said some version of the same thing. Asked about his future, he told one interviewer, "I have a contract at Barcelona, but in football, you never know."
I have contract at Barcelona, but in football, you never know. I'm just waiting to make the right decision.
Asked what the club needs to do to keep him, his answer was even more direct. "They have to show me they want me."
I'm going to be reading to you guys exactly what he said, and I quote, "Well, Barcelona have to show that they love me. If they are interested, they can come and negotiate."
Not "I love this club," not "I'm proud to be here." Just a bench player, fresh off 8 goalless matches, followed by 1 moment of brilliance, telling the biggest club in the world that they need to prove themselves to him. So why does a guy who spent most of the World Cup on the bench suddenly sound like he's holding all the cards? That's the real question here. And the answer has nothing to do with Torres himself. It has everything to do with what Barcelona doesn't have right now. Robert Lewandowski is gone. His contract ran out. The club gave him a farewell send-off, and just like that, Barcelona lost the only proven high-volume goalscorer on their roster. That's not a small gap.
I think it's a little bit kamikaze. I think it's a little bit crazy to go through the season without a number 9, to not replace Robert Lewandowski, to me, that is playing with fire.
Lewandowski scored goals in bunches for 3 seasons running, the kind of guy you could count on for 25, 30 goals a year without much drama. Replacing that kind of output isn't simple, and Barcelona's first move was going after Julian Alvarez at Atletico Madrid.
I think this would be a huge signing. I mean, Barcelona need a long-term replacement for Lewandowski.
That pursuit has gone nowhere. Atletico have said repeatedly they won't sell him to Barcelona. Full stop. No matter what gets offered.
The question is, if it isn't Julian, if Atletico stick to their guns and refuse to sell Julian Alvarez to Barca, which they have said that's what they're going to do.
Reports say Barcelona haven't given up completely, but the noise coming out of Madrid has stayed cold for weeks now. Meanwhile, the club has brought in Anthony Gordon and Karim Adeyemi, and both bring something real to the attack. Pace, pressing, the willingness to run in behind a defense all match long. But neither one is a natural number 9.
Anthony Gordon's coming, Karim Adeyemi's coming. Is that enough if Ferran Torres is to go to PSG in terms of the attack?
No, it isn't.
They're wingers who can drift inside, not strikers built to lead the line and hold up play with their back to the goal. So Hansi Flick's fallback plan is the false 9, plugging in Dani Olmo, or Lamine Yamal, or Fermin Lopez through the middle and asking them to create chances out of nothing, rather than finish the ones a real striker would. It's worked in stretches before. It's not a long-term answer for a club chasing trophies on every front. Which brings it back to Torres. Strip away the goal in New Jersey, strip away the headlines, and he's still the most experienced pure striker Barcelona has on the payroll. Not because he's the best option they could have built around, but because everyone else fell through, got hurt, or never played the position at all. And Torres knows this. He knows Alvarez isn't coming this summer. He knows Gordon and Adeyemi aren't finishers in the box. He knows Flick's false 9 plan is a workaround, not a solution. So, when he says the club needs to show him they want him, that's not some ego trip built on one goal in New Jersey. It's a calculated bet, and it's built on the fact that Barcelona simply doesn't have anywhere else to turn. Rewind to the season where Torres couldn't score to save his life, and Barcelona's response tells you everything about who actually showed patience here. He missed chances that got worse every week. The criticism online got louder.
Everyone made fun of him. Everyone laughs at him. Barca fans want him out. Everything is bad with Torres.
And Torres himself gave that stretch a name, calling it his own bottomless pit. That's not a reporter's phrase or a pundit's dig. That's the player describing his own collapse in his own words. And it lasted long enough that most clubs would have cut ties and moved on to someone easier. Flick didn't do that. He kept starting Torres in matches that mattered, and at one point during the Copa del Rey run, he picked Torres over Lewandowski outright, a decision that raised eyebrows given who was sitting on the bench that day. That's not the move of a manager who sees a player as disposable. Go back further and the numbers make the same point even louder. Barcelona paid 55 million euros for Torres during the worst financial stretch in the club's modern history, a period where they could barely register new signings under La Liga's spending rules. They spent big on him anyway, at the exact moment they had the least to spend. So, measure that history against what's coming out of his mouth now. A club that stuck with him through a personal low point, that kept picking him in must-win games instead of proven goal scorers. And now Torres is the one asking Barcelona to prove they care?
He believes that after scoring that goal, he has become a superstar to where now I think he has overvalued what he is and who he is as a player.
That's the part that doesn't sit right with a lot of people watching this. And this is exactly the moment PSG picked to step in. Reports have PSG prepping an offer somewhere between 40 and 50 million euros, working to get something formal in before Torres even reports back for pre-season training. That number matters because it's real leverage, not posturing. PSG needs a striker option behind their front line, and Torres fits a profile they're actively shopping for. So, what actually happens here? Does Barcelona keep him and risk a locker room watching a bench player negotiate like a superstar? Or do they sell and walk straight back into the striker problem they already have? One path, Barcelona cave. They open up talks, hand him improved terms, and justify it all on the back of one goal in New Jersey. The second path, they take PSG's money, sell for close to double what they paid 5 years ago, and pocket a profit while they go hunt for a replacement elsewhere. Neither option comes free. Pay Torres more and Pedri notices, and so does every player in that locker room watching what gets rewarded. Sell him and Barcelona are right back where they started, short a striker, with pre-season already running out. Deco hasn't said a word publicly, Flick hasn't either, and that silence from a manager who's usually direct about what his squad needs says more right now than any press conference would. Because this stopped being about Ferran Torres as a football player weeks ago. It's about whether Barcelona rewards leverage born from one moment, or whether history and patience still count for something at this club. The goal that should have made this the easiest summer of his career is the exact thing making it the hardest for Barcelona. One shot, one final, and suddenly, the club that saved his career is the one being asked to prove itself.